Okay, so hi everyone. Today we'll be discussing about how augmented reality AR and virtual reality VR. So I have three beautiful ladies in the meeting today, which are Miss Nabila, Miss Livia, and Miss Hema, and also including me, Miss Issei, to help all of you to explain in more detail about AR and VR. I've actually been so curious about the difference of these two or how it have been implementing in classroom. So, Miss Nabila, can you please share to us what are AR and VR?
Okay, sure, can. Okay, now for the interaction, the technology is spreading too fast in the world, especially in education. So educational innovation in technology include VR, which is virtual reality, and AR, which is the augmented reality. So virtual reality is a technology that allow user to feel that a computer has created the environment, but that can use by the headset VR so that user can listen and watch what the real by the three dimension, which is a 3D. So then for augmented reality, which is AR, means that a technology that combine digital element with real life, which is just need using a smartphone, such as a sounds, a data, and image. So by use this method, this is very relevant for education applications as a provider student for a fun and interactive learning experience that can make the learning method more visual, even hands-on. So now, which of us will share an explanation, perspective, and real-world experience? That's all.
Wow, that's so cool. Didn't really know something like this can be used during lesson. So thank you, Miss Nabila. All right, so
Um,
now we all are going to share what's our perspective about AR and VR. So, Miss Livia, can you please share about your perspective?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Mr. Say. First of all, enhanced contextual learning, which is AR and AR. VR and AR provide contextual learning experience by simulating real-world scenarios. For example, medical students can perform virtual surgeries, and engineering students can assemble virtual machines, can enhance their practical skill. Second, democratization of educational resources. VR and AR can democratize access to high quality educational resources, especially for students in remote or unfunded areas. Virtual field trips to world renowned museums or historical sites became accessible to anyone with a VR headset or be known as a AR enabled device. Third, personalized learning paths. VR and AR enable learning paths tailored in individual student needs and learning style. For an example, we can include that adaptive VR and AR application can adjust the difficulty and content based on a student performance, which is by providing a customized learning experience. For we known as a overcoming physical limitation. VR and AR can overcome physical limitation in education. Students with disabilities can participate in activities that would otherwise be inaccessible, such as exploring a virtual version of the Great Barrier Reef or climbing a virtual Mount Everest. Another one is a transformative teacher role. It's very important in our daily life. VR and AR transform the role of teachers from lecturer to facilitators. Teachers can guide students through immersive learning experience, provide personalized feedback, and foster collaborative learning environment. Ethical consideration. Addressing ethical considerations such as data privacy, digital equity, and the potential for addiction is crucial for responsible implementation. Another one, future trend. Integration with AI. Combining VR and AR with artificial intelligence to create intelligent tutoring systems that provide real-time feedback and personalized guidance. Last but not least, haptic technology. Incorporating haptic technology to add a sense of touch to VR, AR experience, making them more immersive and realistic. Wait, I want to add another one. Cross curriculum application. expanding the use of VR AR across different subjects such as language learning, mathematics, social science, and to create a holistic learning experience.
Okay, thank you, Miss Livia. And yes, I do agree with you that AR and VR able to attract students' attraction in class because of these two stimulus real scenarios. Okay, so now I will share about my perspective. Okay, AR maintains the real world while VR replaces with a digital one. That's the difference. So example of AR in real environment but surrounded with cartoon characters like Pokemon Go. So places like KLCC, Tasik Titiwangsa, then the cartoon characters from Pokemon Go. The game integrates uh, virtual Pokemon characters into the player's real world environment using the device's camera and GPS. This allows player to see and interact with Pokemon as if they were actually present in their surroundings. So the next one will be example of VR to explore inside human body in 3D. So it's simulated experience that employs 3D near eye displays and pose tracking to give the user an immersive feel of a virtual world. So the development for AR and VR is Unity, Unreal Engine, and ARKit. So what's the meaning of this? Is actually Unity means a game engine known for its extensive AR and VR support and large asset store. And then the next one is Unreal Engine. It's another game engine with advanced capability, strong focus on visual. And the next one is ARKit, an iOS framework for creating AR experiences, offering features like light estimation, surface detection, and 2D, 3D image tracking. So the next one is the platforms to create AR and VR, Panaform, Figment AR, and ThinkLink. Okay, so Panaform means that pairs real-life drawing with VR experiences, allowing students to draw and view their creation in VR. The next one is Figment AR. It means that allow users to add AR objects, portals, and effects. Then last one is ThinkLink, allow users to create interactive 360-degree image experiences. Okay, so Miss Nabila, how about your perspective?
Okay, for my perspective is that AR and VR it can have an impact on a level of ability of student in the classroom, which is a student who are slow or on a straight learning. So they can use a simulation or visual as a support of the learning. So for others, students who are expert, they can explore more detail to get new knowledge, which is, for example, is the in the class, science class, learning about human internal organ. So for the student who are slow, they can come into the body organ so they can learn one by one what actually happened in the organ. So for others who are expert, they can get new knowledge. They can explore more detail internal organ formats. Okay, that's all. So for the second is the it can give student a new experience and can apply in a real life, which is when student can apply in their routine, which mean that they actually understand and remember what they are learning in the classroom. And which is student also can enter a real life situation without needing do it in real life. For example, in math class, they learn how to buy food at the canteen. So they take 5 ringgit to buy food at the canteen, like 3 ringgit for the food and 1 ringgit for the drink. So they to know they need to know what balance actually they need to have. So for here they can know and they can implement in their real life. Uh, for example, they want to shopping with the family and outside, like that lah. So that's all my perspective, Miss Isabella.
Okay, thank you, Miss Nabila, for sharing such valuable opinions. Okay, Miss Hema, please share us your perspective, please.
Thank you, Miss Issei. Yeah, sure. My perspective about the virtual reality, also known as VR, is about recreating virtual situations for hands-on, and I also find out that virtual reality surprisingly brings realistic learning. Other than that, I also find out that VR can actually enable hands-on simulations, like for example exploring virtual science lab or attending conferences in virtual environments. Secondly, I would like to talk about my perspective of augmented reality, also known as AR. Based on my reading, I learned that AR can display additional information about images or textbook. In simple words, I can say that it's interactive books. Like for example, students can go on virtual tours by visiting historical or geographical sites using mobile devices only. Okay, now I would like to talk about the differences in between virtual reality and augmented reality. Okay, augmented reality can actually enhance the real world by overlaying virtual elements, while virtual reality creates a completely new, immersive digital environment.
Okay, thank you for sharing with us your perspective, Ms. Hema. But can you also explain to us the studies that you found about AR and VR?
Sure, definitely. The case study that I have find out is about enhancing learning through AR and VR in education. The background of the case study that I have find out is about a secondary school in Singapore integrated AR and VR into their science curriculum to improve students' engagement and understanding of difficulty topics, which is also known as complex topics. Okay, I was very curious like how they have implemented this VR and AR in Singapore. Based on my research, I find out that for VR, students actually used VR headsets to explore 3D simulations of the human body and also solar system. This VR is actually allow the students to virtually travel through the bloodstream or explore planets in a fully immersive environment. I also read about the implementation of VR in Singapore. AR actually enabled tablets and apps were used in classroom to scan textbook images which trigger animations and 3D models, for example, a beating heart or a rotating DNA structure. Okay, based on the research that I have found from the case study, the result is also positive. I have came out with 3 results, and the very first one is about students showed increased interest and participation in lesson. The second one is test scores improved by 20% on average in topics that use AR and VR tools. Lastly, teachers found it easier to explain abstract or microscopic concepts. In conclusion, I would say that AR and VR actually transform passive learning into interactive experiences, and also making it easier for students to visualize and retain complex information. Yes, I would say that this case highlights the potential of immersive technologies to enhance educational outcomes. That's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hema, for the explanation. Now, I am going to explain about a real-life example of how teacher is implementing AR and VR in classroom or during lesson time. So this is going to be based on 3 subjects: science, arts, and history. So the first one is science. In science for VR visual, it's actually virtual field trips. They take the students to the ocean, space, or a rainforest. Lab simulations, practice chemistry experiments safely in virtual labs, and then step into a concept like walking through DNA or inside a cell. The next subject for VR visual is history. So the first one is virtual time travel. They let students to walk through the era of Tunku Abdul Rahman fighting for the freedom of Tanah Melayu. And then historic site tours using 360 degrees videos or VR apps for virtual museum visits like Museum Negara or cultural landmarks like the building of Sultan Abdul Samad. The next one is role play or reenactments, meaning that students can step into the shoes of historical figures like Tun Dr. Mahathir or Tunku Abdul Rahman, so they can experience how these heroes actually fight for the Independence Day of Tanah Melayu. And then the next one is art for VR visual is virtual place to paint. They let students to paint in a calm and peaceful place such as the garden, beach, or waterfall. And then the next one is immersive museum tours. Take students to art galleries to get inspired with other artists. The next one for the VR arts is create in 3D. Allow students to create 3D models like pyramid, waterfall, so they can experience their painting come into life. So the next one I'll be talking about AR visual. The first one, subject science, is labor 3D models. They let students to rotate and view of the human body, solar system or cells. The example is like observe the plant growth stages on their desk, explore inside a volcano or heart. The next one is history, interactive historical scenes. Create AR timelines where tapping on a date reveals key events with visuals or voice clips. Next one is recreate historical scenes. Place AR scenes such as war scenes on tables or floors using mobile devices. The last one for art subject is interactive art galleries. Use AR apps such as Quiver Vision into animated or narrated exhibits. They scan famous paintings to show hidden details, artist information, or 3D effect. Then visual painting, they use apps that let students paint in 3D space, then view their work from different angles such as below or side view. Okay, so for conclude this topic, I will call Miss Livia to conclude this topic.
Thank you, Nisi. Okay, guys. In summary, our exploration into AR and VR has taken us through various angles from the introduction to the case study and the real world example. Each of us perspective adds a unique layer to our understanding. As we have seen, AR and VR technologies are not just futuristic concepts but are actively shaping various industries and our daily life. It's clear that their potential is immense and continued innovation will bring even more transformative applications. That's all for conclusion.
Okay, so we have come to the end of our discussion. Thank you for everyone for sharing all your thoughts about AR and VR. I hope everyone who watched this video will gain new knowledge about this topic. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you, Iseman.
You.
Thank you, Isa.